Wally, tika.
Revolution means change, don't look at me strange. So I can't repeat what other rappers be saying.
Gather around, kids. I will be telling the very scary story about the time I got selected for jury duty.
Ding dong.
Now, 1 year ago, I was so luckily summoned to go to the county courthouse to serve my civic duty. So I had the chance to be summoned for a really exciting trial, or, be sent home after like a day just waiting. It was a win-win if you look at it from the two most reasonable and logical circumstances to happen. But with most people, I was actually thrust in the most gross middle section of all that. I got my summons card. I went in August to the county courthouse. I went up the steps, up the escalator to the jury lounge. It had all the trimmings and furnishings of a nice lounge. It had snacks, a break room, restrooms, nice lighting, big windows. But the only thing I felt was the same dread you feel while waiting a cancer diagnosis. The nice jury clerk, the goofy dude with glasses, he puts on our civic duty video, and then he tells all 400 of us schleps in the room, all right, guys, we need people for a 5-week trial. Okay, I was only 1 out of 400. Surely I would not be unlucky enough to get... No, I was like the 4th name called, and they sent my ass across the bridge to the Hall of Justice. But I would be damned if I let myself just be selected for a 5-week trial. So my mind started racing, machinizing all kinds of different excuses to not be on the trial. I thought, financial hardship. Well, no, technically my dad was finally starting to make enough to, comfortably make ends meet. 5-week trial wouldn't hurt us financially. Damn it, Dad. Couldn't have been broke for 1 more year. Now, sickness? No, I was perfectly healthy at that time. Damn it. Job obligations. Well, I had just finished school, and I was gonna look for a job. I didn't have a job yet that would cost me yet, so...
Damn.
All 40 of us poor bastards finally get to the courthouse, to the courtroom, and they sit us in front of Judge Mangione. He kind of looks like that. Cool guy. Then the defense and the prosecution, they sat us down and debriefed us on this harrowing trial. They basically told us, look guys, it's a civil settlement about an incident that happened 3 years ago. So, yay, not exactly OJ.
OJ. You know I miss my boy. OJ.
Now, luckily, at that point, before they did the debriefing, I was a few seats outside of even like the reserve juror pool. So I was comfortably sitting outside, on the outside looking in. So all I'd have to do is just hope the people in front of me were competent enough to stay on the trial. The prosecution, they approached woman number 1, elderly woman. They asked, ma'am, how are you doing today? Huh? Ma'am, do you think you could be impartial to a trial? What? Ma'am, can you hear anything we're saying or asking? Huh? Okay, ma'am, you're dismissed. So then they move on to lady number 2 on the chopping block. A young lady. She's supposed to be sharp, right? So they ask, defense approaches her, they ask her, excuse me, young lady, are you in school right now? Yeah, I schooled. Okay, go back to school. Dismissed. And after them, there was a few more people that they pulled, and they asked them, okay, can you be impartial? They all feigned like, oh no, I'm crazy. I'm politically charged. And they believed them. They dismissed all of them. Finally, it came to me, and they asked me the same question. Excuse me, Mr. Vargas. Do you think you could be impartial to a trial? Or are you walking into this trial with preconceived notions about who's at fault in this case? And I said, yeah, I mean, the fact that we're here means that somebody's at fault, and they already have an idea who's at fault here. And the defense, he looks at me and says, well, thank you for your honesty, Mr. Vargas. And we didn't even finish deliberation that first day of my summons, so we had to come back the next day and finish it. And there was one more dude who was supposed to take my spot. He was the final guy, making sure that I wasn't on the final jury. And what did he do the next day? He slept in, didn't show up, and they sent an arrest warrant for him, which meant I was now sitting in the jury piers. And after a whole another day of deliberation and asking questions, I found myself suddenly raising my left hand, or which one? One of my hands, raising a hand over my heart to say the oath. They got me. So for the next 5 weeks, I had to go down to the county courthouse in my dad's old Acura with no AC in the summer, or to the trolley, depending on which mode of depression I was in, and endure hours, 9 to 5, literally every day, and I had to be impartial. And I did just that, but there were some other things along the way. So why the hell did they pick me? Well, I can only assume it's because they saw me as one of the few young, competent brown people and racist. I don't know if you ask me.
Don't let the black creature. Damn, they got away.
But I even said out loud after we did the oath, like, damn it, I'm only here for diversity points. The white guy next to me is like, shh, you're gonna get us in trouble. I'm like, I don't care. Into the trial, I looked up online how to get out of jury duty, and people kept bringing up, oh, just know the jury. You can't just say no jury out loud in the courthouse. They'll arrest your ass. They'll hold you in contempt of court, and you can't do anything to break the oath. You have to be impartial. You have to follow the rules. So I thought, okay, I can't break any of the rules. I can't break the oath. I can't interrupt the courthouse. But more importantly than doing something to get kicked off is giving the perception, making the defense or the prosecution get the feeling from you that you aren't taking the trial seriously, that you are not a reliable juror without actually doing anything. I had absolutely zero problems being impartial in this case because I had zero stakes in any sides of this case. It was the most boring possible thing in my life at that point. I could keep the oath. I could keep everything secret. There was nothing to leak. It was boring as hell. So all I had to do was just give off the impression that I was too immature, not by interrupting the courthouse, by just doing very subtle things to let the prosecution and defense know this kid ain't serious. He ain't for real. Now, throughout the deliberation process, I tried very subtle things like biting my nails, looking up at the ceiling, not paying attention. I remember I brought like a pandemic kind of mask, face mask, and I rolled it up like a mustache around under my nose like that. Here's a picture. I wore that while they were in the middle of a very intense question, and they looked at me several times. They just like, damn it, these guys, they see me, right? They're still letting me off. So I had to amp it up to the next level by the time the trial came. So the first full day of the real trial, real deal, we're locked in. We're gonna start this thing. I show up late because I woke up late. I hit a parked car in the Ace parking lot in front of the courthouse. Whole separate issue. I was running late, so they almost arrest my ass and hold me in contempt of court like the other guy. Luckily, I was in the lobby when they called me, so they held off. And by the time I got to the top, I revealed to them I was wearing a out-piece suit, emulating the exact same type of suit that one of the defense attorneys was wearing. Sat right there in the middle, looking straight at him with this thing, like, yeah. When we start this trial, buddy. Didn't say anything. They proceeded with the trial as normal. Day number 2, I wore the suit again, one last time, and a fake mustache. I remember the bailiff. He would, escort us in the courtroom every morning, and we would have to face walking and looking at the judge, looking at the prosecution, the defense. We'd have to look at everybody. They'd be staring at us walking in. And I remember walking in with the mustache, and they just looked at me like, didn't say anything, didn't hold it against me, let me wear a mustache. They were very cool about it. Again, it wasn't a disruption, but I just wanted them to see that I'm not taking this seriously. You can't have me on this. Still didn't dismiss me. All right, day number 3. No more suit. I'm wearing like short shorts and a bright yellow shirt and a bow tie. I thought for sure they're going to think I look like SpongeBob. They're going to kick me out. Didn't say anything. Other jurors like, nice bow tie, bro. I'm like, thanks. Day number 4. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to, throughout the trial, during the proceedings, I'm going to put on a fake pair of glasses that are clearly fake. And I'm going to take them off at various intervals when they're not looking at me. And again, they didn't say anything. They would see me with the fake glasses one moment, look away, look back, and I'm not wearing them anymore. And still nothing. So after like a week of trying the wardrobe stuff, and clearly seeing that they didn't care what I wore, I had to up it up to the next level. I had to resort to the materials that they gave us. They gave all of us a jury notebook like this one. This isn't the one itself because we had to throw it out. They incinerated it, but we were expected to take notes during the trial. And I wrote down in the notebook all day long. I didn't take any notes about the case because I stopped taking notes after like 9th grade. I would hear all the details and I would keep them in mind. I would register them and I would listen. But at the same time, I would be just drawing the absolute dumbest shit possible just to keep myself sane. I mean, I was going nuts in there of boredom. God. After tirelessly scribbling for like a whole nother week, it clicked in my head like, wait a minute. If I flip this page over, they can see some of my notes. If they're looking at me in my direction to make sure I'm paying attention, they can see the back of my notebook. And, well, let's see. If I draw something big enough, they can see what I'm drawing. We draw something here for the defense and the prosecution to see. Let me... What's that? Yeah. Oh yeah, Ketamir, Your Honor. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. Then I flipped it over, pretending like I was going other notes, but I was just showing him this. I was like, yeah. And I held it up as high as I could, as close as I could to their faces. The defense attorney, he saw me. He's like... But he didn't crack. He didn't smile, didn't laugh, nothing. Like, damn it. But they wouldn't crack. They wouldn't break. I guess they were good or something. Drawings didn't work, so I thought, okay, let me do something else. See, as jurors, we were allowed to write, questions and hand them to the bailiff, and the bailiff would give them to the judge and the prosecution and defense. They would look at it and debrief over whether they would cover it in the trial. So I wrote down lots of great questions. Questions like, at what rate do you think a 1992 Saturn would be going if you held a Slurpee out at a 90-degree angle? Just a bunch of dumb questions. And I get to the bailiff, needless to say, they didn't answer any of those questions. I threw in some legitimate questions as well, because some of the stuff they were trying to pull on me, I wasn't buying. Sometimes not even questions, just dumb comments like, today is Saturday, even if it was like, I don't know, Thursday or something. Just the dumbest possible shit I could think of. Still didn't kick me off. I kept it very impartial. I listened to all the facts. I heard out my other jurors once we had to deliberate the case. And, I did what I had to do. I just didn't take it all that seriously. And I made that very apparent to them visually. And they still kept me until the very end. So after 5 painful weeks, the defense, the prosecution, they made their closing statements. And we were let loose to deliberate. It was like 12 angry men and women with one young dumbass in there, me. I was going to listen to hear everyone's points, do what we had to do, and solve the case. So I listened. I was the closest to the whiteboard in that meeting room. They stuck me there for some reason. And so, other jurors, the adults, some of these people like 40, 50, 30s, whatever, they'd tell me, Albert, can you write that detail down from the case? That's an important detail. I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. And said blah, blah, blah. And then I'd just draw like Shrek over here. And they wouldn't say anything. They'd just be like, okay. It was a very in-depth deliberation process. We were there for like another 4, almost 5 days just deliberating. We went through all the facts of the case that we could remember. There was a lot of clashing too. But we came to understanding all the facts. We did deliberate dutifully, while at the same time I was doing dumb shit. But we got it done. They did their closing statements, they came to our decision, and we were free to go. And that day was like the happiest days of my life. Now, I did learn a lot while I was on the trial. As much as I hated every step of it and every day, I did learn a lot about the process of deliberation, juries, all that good stuff, the legal system. It was cool to see it in action, especially from 2 pretty good attorneys in 2 camps. They were pretty good. So I actually learned a lot, and I recommend that if you are summoned and you have to serve, that you do serve, even if it's for 5 weeks, which I don't recommend getting stuck on, but if you have to, you have to. I served dutifully. I didn't break any rules. That's the story. Enjoy.